9 experienced hikers walked into the mountains. None of them ever walked back out. And what investigators found when they searched for them defied every explanation known to science. January 23, 1959. The Soviet Union, deep in the Ural Mountains of Russia. A group of 10 young students and graduates from the Ural Polytechnic Institute set off on what should have been a routine winter expedition. Their leader was Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student, experienced, disciplined, and respected by everyone who knew him. The other members were among the most capable hikers the university had ever produced. Zinaida Kolmogorova, known for her infectious laugh and her fearlessness in harsh conditions. Rustem Slobodin, a strong and quiet engineer who had completed dozens of difficult expeditions. Lyudmila Dubinina, 20 years old, one of the most experienced female hikers in the entire region. And 5 others, all skilled, all prepared, all excited for the challenge ahead. Their goal was to reach the summit of a Torton mountain, rated Category 3, the highest difficulty level for winter hiking in the Soviet Union. They were more than capable of completing it. But before they even reached the mountain, one member of the group fell ill. Yuri Yudin, suffering from joint pain, was forced to turn back on January 28th. He said goodbye to his friends, watched them disappear into the snow, and began the long walk back to civilization. That decision saved his life. Yuri Yudin would spend the next 75 years haunted by the fact that he was the only one who came back. He died in 2013, still searching for answers. February 12th, 1959. The group was supposed to send a telegram confirming their safe arrival at the summit. No telegram came. February 20th, still nothing. The families began to panic. Search and rescue teams were dispatched into the Ural Mountains. What they found would become the most disturbing unsolved mystery in Soviet history. The tent was discovered first, on the slopes of a mountain the local Mansi people called Kholat Shahul. In the Mansi language, that name means dead mountain. The tent had been set up correctly. The equipment was inside. The food was prepared. But every single hiker was gone. And here is the detail that made investigators stop breathing. The tent had been cut open from the inside. Someone, or something, had caused all 9 experienced hikers to slash their way out of their own shelter. In the middle of the night, in minus 30-degree temperatures, and run barefoot into a blizzard. No shoes, no coats, no equipment, no explanation. Whatever they encountered inside that tent terrified 9 experienced mountaineers so completely that running into a deadly blizzard with no shoes felt safer than staying. The search teams followed the tracks in the snow. They led away from the tent toward the tree line, 1.5 kilometers away. The first 5 bodies were found there. Igor Dyatlov, their leader, was found frozen in the snow, his body positioned as if he was trying to crawl back toward the tent. Zinaida Kolmogorova was found nearby, in the same crawling position, facing the tent. They had both died trying to go back, but something had stopped them. Near the tree line, investigators found something that disturbed them even more. A large cedar tree, with broken branches all the way to the top. 2 of the hikers had climbed as high as they possibly could. Their hands were torn and bleeding from gripping the frozen bark. They were trying to see something in the darkness, or escape something on the ground below. The fire they had built at the base of the tree had gone out, and both men had climbed down and died with no visible injuries. But the last 4 bodies told a completely different story. They were not found until May, buried under 4 meters of snow, in a ravine 75 meters from the cedar tree. And what the medical examiners found shocked everyone who read the report. Nicolas Thibault Brignolel had a massive skull fracture. The kind of force required is comparable to being hit by a car at full speed. But there was not a single mark on his skin. Alexander Zolotaryov and Lyudmila Dubinina both had multiple broken ribs on both sides. The pressure required to cause those injuries, without leaving external wounds, is almost impossible to explain. The medical examiner wrote in his report that the injuries were consistent with a massive shock wave, or extreme pressure from an unknown source. And then there was Lyudmila Dubinina, 20 years old, one of the most experienced hikers in the group. When her body was examined, investigators made a discovery so disturbing, it was immediately classified. Her tongue was missing. Her eyes were missing. Her lips were missing. Soft tissue, completely removed, with no explanation of how. The official report suggested animals or decomposition. But she had been buried under 4 meters of snow in freezing temperatures. No animal could have reached her. And decomposition could not explain the precision of what was missing. The radiation made everything worse. When the clothing of several hikers was tested, it came back positive for low-level radioactive contamination. The source was never identified. Witnesses in the area reported seeing strange, glowing orange orbs in the sky above the mountains on the same night the hikers died. The skin of several bodies had turned an unusual orange color. Their hair had turned gray. The Soviet government, already alarmed by what investigators were finding, immediately classified the entire case. The files were sealed for 30 years. And the official conclusion, after months of investigation, was 3 words: an unknown compelling force. That was all they said. An unknown compelling force killed 9 people. And the Soviet government decided that was enough of an explanation. The theories have never stopped coming. Theory 1, an avalanche. But the tent was not crushed. The snow around it was undisturbed, and experienced hikers would never have camped in an avalanche zone. Theory 2, a military experiment. The radiation, the orange orbs in the sky, the crushed bones with no external marks, all consistent with weapons testing in the area. The Soviet military was known to conduct secret tests in the Ural Mountains during this period. Theory 3, infrasound. Scientists have discovered that certain wind conditions in mountain passes can create low-frequency sound waves that humans cannot hear, but that cause extreme panic, hallucinations, paranoia, and the overwhelming feeling that something is watching you. Could 9 experienced hikers have been driven to mass panic by invisible sound waves? Theory 4, the Mansi people. The local indigenous population called that mountain Dead Mountain for a reason. They warned outsiders never to go there. And they refused to speak about what happened, even when questioned by Soviet authorities. In 2019, 60 years after the incident, the Russian government reopened the case. After months of investigation, they announced their conclusion: an avalanche. The world immediately rejected it, because an avalanche cannot remove a woman's tongue. An avalanche cannot cause internal crushing with no external wounds. An avalanche cannot turn skin orange or hair gray. And an avalanche cannot explain the radiation. Here is what we know for certain. 9 experienced, capable, prepared, and fearless hikers were so terrified by something in that tent that they chose certain death in a blizzard over whatever was inside. They died in temperatures that would kill an unprepared person in minutes. Some were crushed by a force that science cannot fully explain. One lost parts of her face that no animal or decomposition can account for. Their clothes were radioactive. The sky above them glowed orange. And the Soviet government, one of the most powerful in the world, looked at all of this evidence and called it an unknown compelling force. Because they had no better answer. Nobody does. Whatever came for Igor Dyatlov and his friends on Dead Mountain has never been identified, has never been found, and according to those who study this case, is still up there, waiting. If this gave you chills, you need to see our next video. Subscribe to EnigmaSphere Studio and hit the bell so you never miss what we uncover next.